Mesechta bava basra daf nun zayin amud aleph. We're starting from the top of nun zayin amud aleph. Ahush dada. Does it say ahush dada by you? So turn the page. Ahush dada dehava chsimi alei beitrei. There was a story with a star chayv. The Malva came to the lady and he says, "Listen, pay me back my money." And so the Malva said, the lady says, "What are you talking about? Your star is mezuyif. The halach is you have to be mekayim the star. How you mekayim the star? You bring the star to Bezdin. You got the Edom that testified. Each one can testify in his chesima, and through that's how the Kiyum Star happens. But you don't need to have two Edom. They themselves testify that it's their chesima, and that's enough. Why? Because they're not testifying on the chesima. If it was on the chesima, you need two Edom. They're testifying on the etzem halva, not on the chesimas. So mitzad the etzem halva, they can testify that it's theirs. They signed on this story. So the Yimad Shchiv Chad Menayu. Here's a case where one of them passed away. One of the Eidos that signed passed away. Now we got a problem. For chesima, you need two Eidim. So what happens here? So one of them passed away. So what did they do? Asa achud ahai dekoi v'chad achrina. The brother of the one that passed away came and testified with another person that it's his brother's chesima. So here again, I'm just going to make it clear. Over here, it's talking about that one of the Edom died, and who's coming to testify? If a Eid dies, now you have need two Eids for chesima. So brother, one Eid, he was there in the story, so he just has to say, "This is my chesima. I'm testifying on the story." But the brother who passed away, now we need two Eidim for the brother who passed away. That is his chesima. Who came? A live brother of the one that's dead. Oh no! So that's what we want to bring out together with another one, and it's going to be good. On the second person chesima. So we thought it should be good. So Ravina, Lemeima, Ravina thought to say, Hainu Masnisin. This is mamish the same case of Shloisha Achin. What was the case? We had this yesterday. Three brothers, no, by Chazaka. That the Malva, the Leva, not the Leva, I'm sorry. The Machzik said it's my kaka, I bought it from you. And he has three sets of Edom. But really it's three brothers and one person that testifies on all 3 years. And each brother testifies on 1 year. And that one Eid that testifies on the 3 years, he combines himself as mitzaref mit yeda bruder. Because one brother saw him 1 year, the second brother saw him the second year that he was eating there. In the third year, the third brother testified on the third year.
His brother saw all of them, right?
And one who was not a brother testified on all 3 years, together with each brother for each year. So we said, how could the brothers testify? It's brothers. So we said, brothers are testifying. That's only, when are they puzzle? Ladies, if they're testifying on the same thing. But each brother was testifying about a different year. So here also, here the brother testified about this. The brother who passed away testifies about the story that the Leva borrowed money. And the brother that's alive is saying a whole different testimony, that the chesima of the brothers are true chesima. Two different testimonies, so which should be good. So do you want to know? Could you compare the two? There's a din that it says al pishnayim edim yokum dava. Now, what do we dashing from that pasuk? So it says we dash from that pasuk that one Eid cannot testify more than another Eid. Meaning that one Eid, if he testifies more that on a chayv, and he's testifying on 3/4 of the chayv, and one is only testifying on a quarter, it's not good Eidus. The Eidus has to be half and half. I'll bring you the pasuk. The Rashbam brings it down. It says al pi shnayim edim yakum dava, and he comes to tell you that what the lamdu min hakasuv that shebedava miskayim bebezna al pi shnay edim Lo yehei chelkei shel eid echad be'edus godam shavede. One cannot testify more than his friend. Ela kol echad yehei loy machzis v'kim adova. Each one has to be mamish half and half. 50-50. Okay.
They're really saying the whole thing. Each one's saying the whole thing.
Yeah, but each one is saying the whole thing, so it's 50-50. You need two Eidim. Two Eidim they're combined. But that's Bamed Vanamamu. They're saying the same Eidus about the whole story. Not one is saying just a partial Eidus and one is saying 3/4. That's no good. You need two Eidus testifying the whole thing. Says you want to Avash be dummy, could we then compare? Hasam loy nafik nachi riva de b'meina apum de yache. He says when by the three brothers that testified together with one guy on each year, right? So the three brothers are considered as one because the three brothers that related, so it's one Eidus, and the one other Eid is the outside is the second Eid. That person is testifying on all 3 years, and the three brothers together, who are considered as one Eid, also are testifying equally on the 3 years. So between the three brothers, which is considered as one Eid, testified in 3 years, didn't testify more than the one Eid that testified with all three of them. It's equal. But by our case, we have two parts to make the labor have to pay the chay. Part number one, that there have to be Eidim on the story. Part number two, that one of the Eidim died, so we need a testimony to verify one of the signatures. So what do we have over here? One Eid is testifying, the one that's alive, he testifies on the story. Good. But that's only on one part of the Indian. Then there's a brother who also was an Eid, so that's he's equal with him. And then there's another brother that's verifying the signature. So that's already 2/3 of the Eidus he's taking. The two brothers are like one, and they're verifying the signatures. So they're testifying more, the two brothers, more than the one Eid that was testifying on the story. So he says you can't compare it. First Eid said it's me. The second Eid, you need two Eids on the story. There's a second Eid on the story, so he's equal. But besides that, there's another component to make this labor be chayiv. No, he's only. I know that the labor borrowed from the Malva. That's how he's Mekayim his Eidus. The second one cannot say it. Yeah, second one had to be there in order to be true. But we don't know if the second one was there, so we needed a brother to verify his signature with somebody else. So that brother who's together with the one that's passed away are saying more Eidus, because they're considered as one, than the one who testified on himself. So it's not equal. So he says, Hoch over here, nafik nachiriva de memena apumada ache. 3/4 of the Eidus is being said by the testimony of the two brothers, which is considered as one. Lesser quarter, right. So 3/4 of the Eidus is being said by the two brothers who are one Eid, versus the one Eid who testifies he saw the story is only testifying on a quarter. And we learned out from Alpi Shnai Eid and Yaakov Dava that Muzayin Chetzi Chetzi and Sinishtaking Chetzi Chetzi. Me Dami Kukui, then are these two cases similar? Meaning the case of the Eid that passed away, that we also need a component of verifying the signature besides his Eidus, versus our case of 3 years of Chazaka. And by the case of the Chazaka, loy nafik nachi riba, the mameina apum dachi. One, the three brothers are not testifying on 3/4, even though they're testifying on 3 years, the three brothers, but it's only on half because the other one is also the other Eid is testifying the same thing, so it's half and half. Loy nafik, he's not testifying on 3/4. But over here, the two brothers are testifying 3/4 on the testimony of the brothers.
Exactly 3/4. Not really 3/4. I mean, it's not full. The same.
It's not equal, half and half. Okay, so the Mishnah here we're going to talk about a different type of a chazaka, not a chazaka that it becomes yours. Right, it's yours, or you want to be cleaner. Sometimes you have a right to you earn the right to be able to keep your stuff there. Or you open up a window that faces the other guy's chatzah, And now you're able to look into the chutzah, and it was for 3 years, so now you have the right to keep the window there for usage. So he's going to tell you which things could you have for 3 years, and it'll give you the schus to be able to use in the field, and which not. These are the types of tashmishim that you can continue to use because it's kibbeya chazaka after 3 years. And then there are things that you can use it for 3 years, but it won't make a chazaka. It won't give you the schus to be able to use it. What's the case? Let's say you took your behema and you keep him in your friend's chutzah. You have a cow or a hund.
For 3 years?
Huh?
For 3 years, behema stays there?
Yeah, yes, a hot hund was billet. Nacht let me get the hint, I told you.
Le'yachat
Le'yachat no, hast du am meisten dort. So, you heard the story we told you. You heard the story with the Le'yachat Skelef. That there was in a city that there was a guy who trained his dogs to bite every Jew that passes by. So once a Jewish guest came into the town, and they told him, don't go through that street. You'll get all bitten up by his dogs. He says, don't worry. By In's Hatman Apasik. Le'yachat Skelef, everything goes away. Okay, he goes through the street. He comes back to this and to blood. This was Yishan. So he says, "Gewinn als selche hin, was haben nicht afili eis gelost, eis sagen der Pasuk." That's it. Over here he says, "Hoy yemay behema bechatze." So this guy kept his behema in his friend's chatze for 3 years, or he put a tanor, big oven, and he left in his friend's chatze. Usage. He wants to use it. He comes to his chatze, he turns on the oven. Yeah, makes a barbecue. If Yanim's cheshman. Er sagt, if Yanim's auch, kann man schmeißen. No, Tana, he keeps the big oven in that guy's chatze. Rechaim a mill, or Vikiraim is a kleiner oven.
Makes the well,
Yeah, or Vikiraim a smaller oven. He kept in his friend's shus. Also, Umegavat on a goylin, or he puts chickens and he's raising chickens in his friend's chatze. Everything you want. V'chein noisen zivle b'chatze nach besa. He puts all the manure, the zevel, all the number 2. Perfect. He keeps a pile over there. He has storage. So, eine chazaka. Das ist nicht kein chazaka. Why? Because the balabas is nicht makbid. Why is he not makbid? Very simple. No, he's not happy, but he's not makbid because he says if he can move it around and whenever he wants, he'll tell him just take it out. He doesn't feel, as long as I don't need it, it's fine. God, that there's a whole shiloh in the gate for parking. Today we have, I know with my father in the alley. So if 3 years, so you get used to parking in the alley. So now you can't the neighbor keeps the cars in the alley. So there's a shiloh if it could be a chazaka. Let's say you didn't have a car and the neighbor had a car. Now you got a car. So could you tell the guy, the guy says, I'm here 3 years, das nicht makbid given. Das heißt nicht, darf nicht meiche sein als Fall. He didn't have a car, so he let you keep your car in the alleyway. I don't need it. But once I get a car, I'm going to ask you to move it, so it's nicht kein chazaka. So that's why it's not a chazaka. Aval says the Gemara, what's if he built us a bechitzel behemte gavoya asarat vachim? But what's if he brought a behema into the guy's chutzah, and not only that, he made like a place that the behema shouldn't run out, so he made a wall around the area. He made he made himself at home over there. And the same thing he did around his oven. He wanted his private space around the oven, so he kept a wall. Also to the small oven, he put a wall around the mill. Here's a different one. At Nishnefeld, he says, my chickens don't like being outside when it rains. I need them in your house. So he put it in his house. So he says, in such a case, if he says, for the zevel, it's piling up too high. Let me first dig in your ground so I can put some on the bottom and let it pile up from the bottom. So he did with zevel. And then or he built up on top of the ground a mechitza higher, so he could keep all the zevel in there. More zevel, yeah. Areizu chazaka. That's a chazaka. Why? Because don't tell me it's shrinking. Somebody's building a fixed mechitza and he's taking away your property. You know, that's a fixed mechitza. It's not movable. So then he should have been meicha. And if he brings chicken in your house, you don't have a chicken market in your house.
The driveway is one thing,
But in the garage, no, into your house. Then it's a different ballgame. Yeah. In fact, you might have Maishna Reisho, Maishna Sefer. Why is there a difference between the cases of the Reisha and the cases of the Sefer? The Reisha, you said, okay, if he had his behemoth in the Chotzer, or he had the Tana with the Chaim with Karayim in the Chotzer, or he was trying to go in the yard, that's not a Chazaka, but in the Sefer, he built a wall around the Tana, a wall around the Karayim, a wall around the millstone, or he brought the chickens in the house. Why is that different? Talking about Hama'ula, cold. Why?
What's the question, it is different.
But no, his question is, if it's a zar, a stranger coming into your chutzah, you should have right away made a tumul, no matter if he built a wall or not. There should have been a macha. Right. Amar Ula said, this is the rule. Kol she'ilu benichse hager kana, anything in the chasm of a ger who died, a ger who left over in the chasm after he passed away, is nechasm ha'hefker. So in order to... No, they don't get it. No, it's not a relative. It's not considered as a relative. No, anywhere. But now the halach is a ger is property, is hafke. He doesn't have inheritance. There are no yarshim.
Yeah, but I mean, the United States of America.
Oh, you mean dinner malchus? Dinner is something else. So he says kana. So b'nirsa ger, the only way you can be koinet if you make a kinyan. So in anything that's a kinyan, in to be able to acquire the nechasm of a ger from hafker, so b'nirsa chavei kana, that type of a kinyan that you made in the chutzah of your friend, using the tashmish in such a way that you made it the same way as making a kinyan, and you were there for 3 years, it'll be a chazaka. But anything that if you did in the nixah agay, and it won't be a kinyan, so b'nixah chaveda loy kana, b'nixah chaveda won't be a kinyan. So that is here. How are you kind of nixah agay? When you better the karka, you do something to the karka, you make it for the better. Right. So anything that you're doing for the karka, you're doing something like building a wall or.
But this guy is bringing his stove and the chicken.
But that's not going to be you're not going to karka by putting a behemoth in somebody's chutzah. If you took the behemoth and you put your behemoth in the nichsageh, you weren't kind of it. You put your tanner over there. It's not a kinyan. But if you dug in the karka, like we said, he dug, or he made a wall, at fabesed the karka, if he made it better, then it's a kinyan. And these type of actions, if he did it for usage in the friend's chutzah, if he did it for 3 years, and he's quiet, it's going to be a chazaka to be able to continue to use it. This is talking the rule that you compared the same kinyanim that you use to be able to koina a sada shalhafke from a ger who died. That's the type of kinyanim to have a kinyan in the schus hashimush of after 3 years. The schus hashimush in Yanas Fahol. V'harei near the benichse ager. We know charisha. If somebody plows in the chosm of the ger, kana, it's going to be a kinyan right away. But benichse chavei kana. But if you were there for 3 years, and you did just a plowing, you're not going to have a chazaka because you plowed it. You have to not just plow, you have to see, and you have to eat the payers. Then, if you have 3 years, it's a chazaka, and then you can come a chazaka sheishim l'tayna. Of nishtama charisha does nothing for you. V'adei achilas payers. 1 second. And then he gives you another shaila. We know if you eat paydays and then the chasm of your friend for 3 years, that makes it a chazaka. and you're koina. But benichsa ger, if you're just eating you went into the ger's nechas after he died, and you took a pay on this gegessen. It's garnished. Nichsa ger is gone. Like kana, he's not koina. So you see, you can't compare the two. You can't compare kinyonim of a ger who passed away, the nichse hefker of a ger shemeiz to the case of chazaka. Why is eating paid? Because eating paid is by chazaka. If he ate 3 years, it'll be a chazaka. But by a ger the chasm, you took off the tree a couple of payers, it's not doesn't make it yours. You have to do a kinyan. By a yid who owns it, right? So if a yid, the ger died, so it's hefker. By hefker, you need to make a kinyan, actual kinyan. You cannot eat 3 years. Chazaka doesn't. If you ate it for 3 years, and he wasn't moichet, because there's a balabas. The not making the macha makes you, gives you the right to the property. It's the macha of it, of course. There the macha makes it, and here the kinyan actually, the actual kinyan makes it. You have to do a real kinyan. And for the Gemara, or rather, Rab Nachman said, in the name of Rab Barabu Halcha, we're talking about a different case. Bachatzar Hashutov Maskinot. We're dealing with a chatzar that a whole bunch of houses open up into this chatzar. Everybody gets to use this chatzar. The Bahamada K'di Loi Kapdi. If somebody put down, he left his behema or unloads and leaves things there, like you have in the buildings in the corridor. People leave carriages and everything. Well, this does a makbid because you're moving the carriage. If you need the area cleaned out, it gets cleaned out. Right. So he says people are not makbid, but once you close off the area, mechitza, you start making mechitzas in the chatzah that everybody uses. Oh, then makbidim, kapti, they're makbid on that because you're taking away space. That right away they're going to be meicha. What are you going to say? By Stam Hamada, leaving stuff there, the people are not makbid. I'm going to show you they are. But now we learned in the Mishnah, Ashutofim, Shenodru, Hanozemizeh, Asunli Chonas Lechatza. Shutfim, that one should have said to the other, listen, you can't have, I'm not having enough from you, or you cannot have enough from me, and they own the same chatzah, neither of them can go in to the chatzah. Asunli Chonas Lechatza. They're forbidden to go into the chatzah. So you see, l'cheira, if we're not makbid of stam standing there, keeping stuff there, why all of a sudden, but when he makes a neder, it's also? Why? It should be mutter. It's not. There's no kpeda there. A neder is from the hand. It's finished. But that's not. But they both have. But since they both have rights, and he says you cannot have enough for me, they both own each piece. But if you say that standing around or keeping stuff there, there's no kpeda, so what's the problem? He was meidan on kpedas, but he has no kpeda. Says Gemara, Allah, Rab Nachman Rab Baravu, rather Rab Nachman Rab Baravu, son in the name of Rab Baravu. You're right. In the yard in front of the house, the makbid, my front yard, I don't want you doing anything there. I don't want you standing there because that's my front yard. I want to clean. I want it to look beautiful. My backyard. Okay, now we can talk about the backyard. So he says that if you're in my backyard standing around, or you left your behemoths, or you left whatever carriages or whatever, I'm not going to be makbid. But if you start building around and taking away my space, then bin ich makbid. That's the case. That's what the case is talking about in the Mishnah, where there's a chilik that when we say hakbada the hamada k'di like habdi is talking about in the backyard. Now Papa Amma and the Mishnah that says that it's asbana is referring to the front yard. Now Papa Amma either b'chatzar shutfim. Both cases are talking about the front yard. Ve'ikad the kapdi, ve'ikad the like kapdi. Those that are makpid they don't want it. The makbid for you standing stam, saying there are those that are not. Yeah, but he says, "Gabi b'mayna lekula." By mumming, but we go lekula because not everybody, so it's a suffix. Not everybody's makbid.
What do you mean by Hawaiian? Is this one?
By mamina meaning that you're using the person's chotzer, right?
Oh, you mean
If you put something there, if you put you're using the person's chotzer, that's what we mean by mamin. So if some are makbid, some are not. So because it's a suffix, we don't know if he's makbid or not. So then we say we go lekula that he can't say, oh, I was there 3 years and have a chazaka, because he can be from those that are not makbid. And I wasn't makbid, that's why I wasn't meicha, and you don't have a chazaka. Or begabe yisura, which is a isra raisa lechumra, we go lechumra. When if he made a neder, I can't have enough from you, or you can't have enough from me. So by there we'll go lechumra. He is, because when you're dealing suffix yisura, the raisa is lechumra. So here you have the shemishkap that is the kasha lechera. It's gzela, even by mame, because you're doing it your gezel shalei nadaitay. So he says it's only a suffix, and there's a difference when it's a suffix. Anyway, Ravina Amam La'ilam Loi Kabdi. If you want, I can read it from here. He says over here, L'chera gam b'din hakayim yesh suffix is the rice of gezel by mamayna. V'lo b'neitim b'zeh haklal sheb'suffix mamin hilchim lekula. Why do you say, oh, suffix mamin, we go lekula, and it's not going to be a chazaka? Yesh abiyah ke'ein isur gezel chal klal. Al suffix mamin chaver. There are those that explain that when it's a suffix gezel, right? On a suffix gezel, it's the isa of gezel is not chal. Allah rak when it's vaday mamin chaver. It's shemish shkap. Okay. Okay. No. Exactly. Ravina says lo'ilam lo'i kabdi. Really, shutim don't. They're not makbid. V'hamani. So, who's this following? If they're not makbid, he says this follows Rabbi Eliezer. When it comes to a neder, Rabbi Eliezer is very makbid. When it comes to a neder, the Tanya that we learned, Rabbi said, Rabbi Eliezer, afilu vitur ose b'mudana. Even if one is mevat, mashal, if you buy for $100 nuts. So they give you're buying 10 pounds of nuts. Sometimes they throw in a whole bunch of extra, a couple of extra nuts. So that's extra, more than what you paid for. That's how it is. When you spend money, they're mevata. But when somebody made a noise, he's not going to have enough on you, and he pays you $100 for 10 pounds of nuts, he can't give him more. He doesn't. He promised he's not going to have enough for you. The extra nuts that he was always mevata, that's going to be usher. I better say here, even though normally you're mavata, you're not makbid. When it comes to a neder, Rabbi Eliezer is makbid, that it's going to be usher. You're not allowed to have a no.
So if you make a neder,
To have a not have a no, so therefore you're not allowed to. Even a mother kdi standing stamazay, there's a kpeda. It's going to be usher. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Bano, Be'koil shutofim me'akvin zeh ezeh. Any usage that diminishes the shetach of the chotzer, shetach means the space of the chotzer, then the shutfim of the whole chotzer could stop him from doing it, from doing such a usage that diminishes the space of the chotzer. They can stop that one of the shutfim from using that chotzer in a way that it diminishes using the space of the chotzer. If you want an example, he gives him 13 over here, like he puts here, if he places his behemoths, Tana or Kedayim, Hashutim Shabayatzbei Nimna Mikach Yoch La'akim Hashutim. So here he means so he's not referring to, even though the Rashbam says placing behemoths or oven or Kedayim or anything similar, the Shutim himself should withhold himself, right? But the Rashbam writes here, the Kavanah is talking about Tashvishim HaKvuim B'chotzer, like we spoke before, that he builds a Bechitza, he's taking away space from the... Yeah, so that's what he's really referring to as well here. But Chutz Min HaKvisa, except for a place to launder clothing, that you cannot stop a person from keeping...
You want to hang up a line.
No, he means to wash clothing, a place where to watch a shissel, a big shissel where to wash clothing. Why? Lefishein darken shabbos isolis basris al hakvisa benar. It says because it's really a takana. Because when the girls would have to, it's talking about a place, and the takana was talking about dafka, a place where women did the laundry, not the men. And when the women would go to the river, they would have to bend, so it was not sneezdik. So in order that they shouldn't have to go through the unsneezdik way, the Chachamim of Mesaking about that in the chutzah they can have something that they don't have to bend and do washing the clothing there. Zog Yimada Adrasha that's connected to it. It says Va'oitzan Einav Mera'oiz Bara, closing his eyes from looking at evil. This is referring to when somebody goes to the river, he doesn't look at the women when they're washing the clothes. How's it talking about? If there was another path than going to the beach, you don't have to go to the beach, but you can go on the front of the hotels, on the regular, on the boardwalk. Rashu, why is he going darker through the beach? Obviously, you're going through the road, to the path that's no good.
They want to see what's going on.
Yeah, he the lake in Rarach, he the lake in Rarach. But if there isn't another path, that's the only path to get to your destination, then honest. Then he's honest. What's supposed to for them? So he's potter. Honest potter, Rachmana potter. As if the mistake was talking. If I'm playing with Daphne Davenin, well, say honest Rachmana potter. Okay.
That's their job. They couldn't check it.
Or like you say, a mashpia who has to watch the bachim by the beach if they're coming. Is honest Rachmana potter. That's a joke. Zakti bar leilam the lake of Dakachrita. Really, there's no other pathway. Nevertheless, he has to have his hapcha, close his eyes and not look. Sunglasses. Or not close his eyes, blindfolds. Another din in the name of Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Bano. Choluk shel Talmid Chacham, the inner clothes, how do you call it? The inner clothing of the underclothing of a Talmid Chacham, Ketzad, Kol Shein Tzari Nir Metachta. So no, but then the underwear, but they wore lying a chalat. So a Talmid Chacham would wear it so far that Ashban says till it reached the piatis of his feet.
How did the Arabs go?
Yeah. Others say that it wasn't see-through, but the Rashbam doesn't learn that way. Rashbam says it went down very long. Talis shel Talmid Chacham Ketzad. Now the outer garment, how long was it? Ketzad. Kol shein chalukin nir mitachtav tefach. That it reached, covered over the whole inner underwear, but only a tefach was showing from the bottom. That's fine. So, no, tefach of the underclothing is revealed. Right, the underclothing the underwear went all the way down. The overclothing went all the way down, but even though there was a tefach left, even though it was a tefach left, it's good. The underclothing was longer. Shulchan shel Talmid Chacham Ketzad. How was the tables of a Talmid Chacham done? So Shnei Shlishi, then they didn't have counter space like you have an island with another counter. The table served as a counter, as a table to eat, everything.
Same table.
Same table. So what happens was, how would he do it? Shnei Shlishi, 2/3 of the table, of the width of the table, is Gidil. They covered with a Tishtacha. Ushlish Geloi, and a third they left as a counter space open. And there they would keep the pots and the tellers, the plates and everything. Volov, Ka'oris, V'yerek, they had the plates with the vegetables, the tabate, and there was a ring where they would take the board after you finished eating and they would hang it up. So there was a ring sticking out. So the Gemara says like this, where was the ring? Mibachutz. On the outside, not where you're sitting like we're sitting, it was on the outside. You could turn it around, it could be on the inside also, depends which way. But they set up the table that... Wait, we'll soon see. That the tabas, that ring for the table to hang it was that they sat in such a way that the rings were where you were sticking out, where you were sitting. Sagt die Gemara, loy kasha, hadi ki yenuka, hadi loy ki yenuka. When was it on the outside? When there was a child. When there was a child, he would get hurt, so they kept it outside. But if there wasn't a child there, so then they had the ring there in the middle of the table.
If he didn't have any children in the
Yeah. The by saying or how the like in both cases there wasn't a child. Well, like Kashan's no question. Hadi kashama. The place where we kept it on the inside is because there was a shamish. So the shamish would go back and forth, so he would get hurt if the ring was there. So that's why they made it on the inside. You're sitting, you know to watch. You're not walking back and forth. You know to watch. So, and Hadi like kashama, and here there was no. Yeah, the lake is shama, but here there's no shamish, so that's why they had it on the outside. Everybody saying if you want hadi kashama, both cases talking about there was a gabay, there was a shamish. Like kasha, habi yimama habi. By day they kept it. You could by day you could keep it on the outside because the shamish could see it. By night you had to only the ones that were sitting. There was not so much light, so the guy at night knew where the ring was, and he wasn't moving around. He wouldn't get hurt. Yeah. So, not so dark. Es wenn Licht, aber nicht Licht von outside. So am Haaretz, doime lemeduro kedeus makiv soisa. When it came to Hamaratzim, they didn't have this kind of business. The plates here, they put the top mitten dish, even tishdechem with all the plates around it. Und gemacht schmutzig. They didn't care. As get Haaretz, he doesn't care. The top darf man haben gleich in front von Nose and reinschleppen in the plates. That's what it says. Okay, it was on the Tishdach. So you want to meet the Talmud Chachamim, the beds of Talmud Chachamim Ketzat, Kol Shein Tachta Lesam Dolin. Any bed, that the only thing that you found under the bed were shoes, the Lamashal sandals, but Yemei Sachama. Sandals he wore in the Yemei Sachama, so he had the winter shoes under his bed. And the summer shoes in the winter time was on this bed, but nothing else. They didn't keep food, because they only first of all it's tummy. A bed is tummy, and it's right. Oh, but he says under a bed is tummy. So, but the Shalom Haaretz, Shalom Haaretz, the meter of Haaretz, they know the bolus. Is similar to a storage of all kol mine chafetzim dort. So from kaloshin mit essen, whatever you want. It's a whole mixture of everything.